Welcome to today's Sword Sport Podcast. I'm your host, Don Anthony, and I'm looking forward to telling you a little bit about my recent trip to the Middle East, where I was in Lahore, Pakistan, and then Dubai. The trip to Lahore was based on going for the FIE and doing an evaluation of the application for them to become new members of the International Fencing Federation. It's a new process that the FIE has put in place where, as opposed to just taking the application, they want you to go and look and see, one, meet with the leadership of the new federation, whether it's the executive committee and their board. They want you to meet with the National Olympic Committee. And then they also want to look and see, are there clubs and do they have fencers? So we arrived in Lahore. I met my colleague, Novak Perovic. He is also a member of the executive committee of the FIE from South Africa. We had visited Angola together. We did such a good job that the FIE decided they wanted to send us again. So we arrived at about 1:30 in the morning, and from there we went to the hotel. And it's really interesting in Lahore, Pakistan, because I would think that if I arrived to a hotel at 3 o'clock in the morning, that whoever I'm with wants to go to sleep. But our guest, Usman Aghmed, who was the Secretary General of the Pakistani Federation, said, well, let's have tea. So we have tea from 3 to 4 o'clock, go to sleep, get back up at 3:30, we leave at 3:30 in the afternoon. And at 3:30, we're out. We're going to see the fencing club. Now, it wasn't that the distance was that far from where we were, but traffic in Lahore is amazing. They run these 70cc motorcycles. They're like swarms. They're everywhere, and it's packed. And these motorcycles, you might have 1, 2, 3, 4 people on a single motorcycle, all going, and it's like a dance. People dodging in, dodging out. So for what normally would take, I would say 30, 40 minutes at the most, was an hour and change to get to the university, the Imperial College. The college is a business school, and they have the fencing club in the school. And it's, first of all, it's very impressive because they have a permanent site. The club is right in the middle of between a rifle range and a pistol range, all in the same building. And there are 29 fencers. There were 18 men and 11 women. And they were very passionate about their sport. Now, the thing about it is that as Usman said, they have been learning fencing from YouTube. So their skill level is pretty basic. The coaches also learn how to coach from YouTube, but they have a very, very promising future. Part of what we needed to know from the FIE perspective is, does this new federation have the support of their Olympic Committee? Typically, with the FIE, you have to have your Olympic Committee recognize you before the FIE will accept you as a new federation. However, Pakistan is in a little bit of a different situation because their Olympic Committee will not recognize the federation until the International Federation recognizes them. So that has been sort of the rub for the last year. What we did was we got a commitment from the Olympic Committee that they would recognize the federation if the FIE would recognize the federation on a provisional basis. And based upon the rest of our exploration, we went from the Olympic Committee, and then we also met with their board, and that recommendation was sent forward. What I didn't expect in going to Lahore was that it would be really organized. You know, you see the media, and there's so many things that you hear in the media that you create either a preconception or a bias that things are not going to be great. What I was really surprised was that it was not only very well organized, the people were warm, also the history was pretty amazing as well. And seeing some of the old forts with some of the riches made you realize that this part of the world has been extremely powerful and wealthy at different times. By the time we got to Dubai, we were a little tired, but we were met by two very friendly hospitality ladies that not only do they meet you, but they meet you before when you come out the jetway. You get immediately into a cart. They whisk you away to where your luggage is going to be. And the thing about Dubai, and I also, didn't have any real preconceived expectations, except for the fact I'd always heard great things about it. Um, it reminds you of New York, and not only the architecture, the grandness of it, but also the traffic. When you work in this type of environment and you get to a place where you're having a Congress, in French they call meetings reunions, but it really feels like a reunion. People you haven't seen in a few months that you see 4 or 5 times a year. And the weather was beautiful. We sat outside, having a nice meal, and then go upstairs, get a little sleep, and then it's time to get to work. We're working on a deal where we're trying to get shared rights for our property, Sword Sport Television, to share with the FIE so we can do promotion there. And for the first morning, unlike everyone else who's there, except for the people who are on the bureau, and the bureau meeting is at 9 o'clock in the morning. The bureau is made up of the president, Mr. Alisher Usmanov, who very seldom, because of his busy schedule, has time to attend. The Secretary General, Manolis Kazadakis, Emmanuel Kazadakis' his former name. The CEO, Natalie Rodriguez. The Treasurer, Fariel, and then the vice presidents, which would be Anna Pascu from Romania, Wang Wei from China, and myself from USA. And also attending the meeting was usually the sports director and any of the other staff that they need to make sure that we can take care of the business at hand. Our job at that point is to go through everything that's going to be brought to the executive committee and then to the Congress, to have an opinion and to think through all of this so that when the executive committee comes together, we can make a recommendation and hopefully facilitate that meeting so that it goes smoothly and quickly. The problem is you handle all of the work of a widespread fencing federation of 150, now 5 countries, and you have 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon to get all of that done. So did that, had our executive committee meeting. The biggest things that, we were looking at were some of the issues with referees. We have to figure out who's the best referee. We have to figure out what's the protocol for our events, what's the best number of days, what's the best format. Then you have outside things like contracts for broadcast. Should those who do zonal championships be required to provide broadcast when in reality only Europe has been providing it? And is that fair when you require it but you never get it? So you can basically say, hey, the Europeans don't have to either. From there, we go to looking at once I said the best referees. Who are going to be the referees that will be assigned to the World Cups across the season? Why is this person there and that person not there? Do you have balance? Do you have gender equity? Do you have representation across all the different zones? Do you have the quality of referees that you need to make sure that you're going to get good officiating? There are 22 people on the executive committee, including the president. And the president does attend the executive committee meetings as long as he can, as long as he doesn't have a conflict or health concern. And he, when you have a Russian billionaire as your president, there are certain things that come with that, including the entourage of the bodyguards, his attorney, his, assistant. And, they've been doing this so long that they are just as much a part of our meeting, and we expect them to be there. You know them all, and they are now part of, I would say, that FIE executive team. So we go through all the preparation for the Congress, and we see some of the work that has been done laying out the roadmap for Tokyo. Axiom Zen did their 2020 roadmap, which was an excellent presentation. For the FIE Congress, which was the next morning starting at 10 o'clock, 150 nations represented in a beautiful ballroom, well appointed. And the major things that came out of that Congress, first and foremost from the U.S. side and on a personal side, was the United States, which hadn't hosted a world championship event in over 17 years, was awarded the Junior and Cadet 2020 World Championships. It will be Salt Lake City. The other major activity was really a governance activity with deciding how the president and the CEO work together on really how does that take place. Finally came to a resolution after a couple of votes, which is in a good governance model, the Four Eyes model, where the CEO recommends and the president approves. Other big things that came out of that from the standpoint of some of our fencers is that we have the chest protector, and they changed the turning of the rule. Shoulder has gone away, and once again the Angola Fencing Federation was recognized as a full federation of the FIE, and the Pakistan Fencing Federation got their provisional approval. Going back to my trip to Lahore, Pakistan, I had a chance to sit down with the Secretary General of the Pakistan Fencing Federation, Usman Aghmed, and I'd like you to hear a little bit of a snippet from that. Tell us what it's been like working with the FIE and this whole process. How has that been for you?
Yeah, this is a very technical and the difficult process to achieve the FIE membership. But now at that time we had done all the requirements, and the one basic requirement was the constitutional requirements. So hopefully the both of you visited us, and you can resolve the issue by the constitution and for the constitution, for the development of Pakistan Fencing Federation, and for the development and for the growth of fencers of Pakistan.
And currently, how many clubs and how many fencers and how many regions do you have represented in Pakistan?
Yeah, we have 3 provinces with the affiliation with the provincial Olympic committees, and the one is Islamabad, the federal capital, and also federal capital is affiliated with the National Olympic Committee. We have 3 departments, Pakistan Police Services, Pakistan Railways, and the Higher Education Commission. And now we focus on the one region is the Gilgit-Baltistan, and also another province is the KPK, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. We are trying to purchase some equipments for the both of the regions, and we will provide the equipment to them, and they start fencing in the better way.
So what do you do when you're not fencing and running the fencing world?
Yeah, at that time I was Director Sports in Imperial College of Business Studies, and I worked as director from last 9 years. And before that time, I was a former athlete in the rowing, and also I'm a shooting player.
And you are still a director of sports at the college?
I'm still working as a director of sports in Imperial College of Business Studies. I'm also a member with the technical committee by the Higher Education Commission in the Pakistan University Sports Board. I'm having a good position there as well for making some policies for regulations and other policies.
And what are your goals and aspirations for fencing in Pakistan?
My goal is to represent my players in the Asian Games and the Commonwealth Championships, and maybe in the future my player can qualify for the Olympics to represent the national flag at that platform. So that's why we are trying to get more equipment, to establish more clubs. So in the near future, we will request to FIE and we will request to you to arrange any senior fencer or somehow a coach for us for maybe 1 month or 2 month training camps in Pakistan. So we can provide the opportunity to our players to get a proper training from a professional.
And what do you see as the challenges, the obstacles that you'll face as you are developing fencing in Pakistan?
The Pakistan is a developing country, and in all the developing country, the barriers and obstacles are the fundings. Without fundings, nothing can be possible. So, first of all, we have to arrange some sponsorships. We have to arrange some different training programs in the schools, in the colleges, so our fencers can get the money from the colleges, from the schools by the training. So we can, the first we can contribute in the financial issues. When we can resolve the financial issues, then we have to go for the quality of the player, for the quality of the training, and the skills development programs.
And do you feel as though you are in a good position to take this major challenge on?
Yeah, we have a very strong belief and very, the strong and confidence on the board and on us. We can survive and we can achieve all the targets in the future.
Is there anything else you think that we should know about Pakistan in the sports world? Like, what are your top sports, and what are the things that you have to, do to attract new fencers?
In all the Commonwealth countries, the Pakistan having a very good cricket team, and this is the only reason the cricket dominates on all the sports, because there is too much funding. If any cricketer play 5 domestic matches or maybe 2 or 3 international matches, he must be millionaire. And if he can play 5 years or more than 5 years, he must be the trillionaires. So everyone in the Pakistan wants to be a good cricketer. This is the basic reason we introduced the fencing, and we trying to convince the people, if you want to be a good cricketer, you must concentrate on other sports. And the fencing is a very old and the royal sports. And in the religion, in the history, this is a sunnah by our Prophet, peace be upon him. He used swords in the battles. So this is a very touchy sports with the religion. Yeah, so that's why we are trying to convince the people to start fencing, and we can help them. And also FIE can help them to make a good player, to provide an opportunity to present their talent in the championships, in the tournaments.
Is there anything else you want to add before we conclude?
Yeah, I want to ask something. How the FIE and the old fencers and the fencing community can contribute to the developing countries in the shape of in the shape of coaching, in the shape of motivation. How you peoples can motivate the developing nations in the fencing platform?
It's funny you ask that, because part of our report and our recommendation for both the federation that we evaluated over the summer, the Angolan Fencing Federation, and now the Pakistan Fencing Federation, is that we really work with those federations to identify, put a plan in place on what it's going to take for you to accomplish your goals of developing both a sustainable as well as a competitive fencing federation, as well as a wide-based recreational program. And that's something that we are hoping both Mr. Novak Perovic and I myself will be able to get support from the FIE to be able to come in, work with you, identify what are those things that are going to take place, put together realistic budgets for how you can get there, as well as a strategic development plan, starting with wherever you are to get where you want to go. Do you want to focus on youth? That's what the Angolan said. They want a junior champion in 10 years. They start with their youth and then they develop that program. How do we show you how to attract the right level of coaching that you need to establish good quality technique? What's the number of coaches that you'll need over a period of time? And also, I think that what has been successful where you don't have a state-run fencing program is a club system. And what will it take to establish a club system, as well as how do you create the financial resources so those clubs are sustainable, so that you will have the resources to be able to pay professional coaches, because we know that you can't pay them out of your federation budget at this point in time. But as you develop a good base of parents who want to see their children succeed, who are willing to, or young adults who are in professional positions that find that there's something that adds to their lives, both from a professional as well as a health benefit standpoint, how do we show you how that can happen?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. And with that, we're going to sign off. I am with the Secretary General of the Pakistan Fencing Federation, which we are hoping will be accepted as an affiliate member of the FIE in Dubai this weekend. It's been a pleasure to be with you, Usman.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Usman, that was great. Thank you so much for taking your time. I really appreciate the insight, and congratulations on your application for being a member of the FIE. We have a lot more great things coming on our podcast, so stay with us. We're going to be doing these on a regular basis. And be sure to check us out on swordsport.tv. We have the best of fencing. We're giving you a whole new experience, and we need your support. We want your support, and I think you'll be very happy to be with us.